Hello YouTube, this is Kaiser. I'm going to do a really weird deck profile for you today. It's a Spike Brother build. The part that's weird about it is definitely its grade ratios. It looks weird and it looks unstable until you like think about it or at least try it, and it's actually very consistent. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it works very consistently. In the playtesting I've done with it, I don't think I've ever actually misrode with it at all, and I've done quite a bit with it, as I usually do for the decks before I present them. So I'm gonna get started here. Starting Vanguard, Mecha Trainer. This card's just too good. As I've said before, there's a lot of good Spike Brother starters. They're all like relatively like good, but this guy just is too consistent. He's a Conroe, and we all know how good Conroe is. This is like the ultimate grade 1 toolbox card. As for our triggers, we're running pretty standard: 8 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal. Very standard. Our grade 1 lineup, we have our 4 perfect guards. Really needed in a deck where you have so many grade 3s where you could have dead cards. And even in non-decks that play so many grade 3s, like this deck, as you'll see, you need 4 perfect guards pretty much in any deck. Then we have 3 Reckless Express. Very good card, very versatile. Can attack for 12, or it can be a 7k boost. And most Spike Brother decks like to run 3, but in this deck we need to have a lot of variety because this is a very toolboxy deck. The more variety for our options, the better. So we're only running 3. Next we have 2 Dudley Dans. It's been a long time since a lot of people have actually used this guy. He's from the year set 2. Back then he was a staple and like the best card in the deck pretty much. In this deck, we're using him because he's a Dudley, and he lets your Vanguard, although your Vanguard is only getting a 4k boost, the Vanguards you're going to use will boost with their own effects to make up for his weak boost. And then you can always use him to toolbox a card out of the deck, gain an extra attack or a more solid attack by calling a booster. Then we have 2 Deadly Phantoms. This card, when it boosts, it boosts for 10. It's not an option, it's mandatory. So and then it goes back to the deck. So you lose it when you use it. However, it contributes a 10k boost, which is taking any attack and raising it up by 2 stages. And then it goes back to the deck, which in this build, that going back to the deck part is actually advantageous, as well as you're taking the advantage of that huge boost. And because it's a Dudley, it's searchable in this deck. And then our last grade 1, we only have 12 grade 1s, as you'll notice, is Medical Manager. He's a solid 7k boost, and he gets a card in soul. This build, depending on how certain games go, you're going to need more cards in soul, so often you'll want to use your Mecha Trainer to search this guy, depending on what it looks like the game's going to go like, so you'll need that extra soul. Typically, with Mecha Trainer, you're either searching your Medical Manager or a Reckless Express. Under the grade 2s, there's only 9 grade 2s. We have our 4 Bracky, obvious staple in any Spike Brother deck. We have our 4 Dudley Mason. Again, it's a Dudley. And it's got one of the best effects of any grade 2 in this game. When it hits, you counterblast, put a card in the soul, and so you trade the 1 card in your hand for any card in your deck, call it. So it gives you more field presence as well as fueling and soul, and you get to pick exactly what you want. It's a very good card. It's actually a little bit more important in this build than other Spike Brother builds. So, and our last grade 2 is a Dudley Douglas. This card is very meh. It's not that big of a deal. It's mostly in here to be a grade 2 who has Dudley in its name. I've never actually called him and used his effect in the battle phase. He's very blah. He's okay. He's mostly in here though because he's a Dudley. Dudley, like combined Douglas and Dudley there. Grade 3s, we have our 4 Battered Draggers, our Breakride. When teamed up with Dudley Dan, because of his +2 effect, you're still hitting for 17, so still a decent number. That's your opponent's cross-ridden. Then we have 4 of our main Vanguard of the deck, General Siegfried. Because this deck, as you're going to see, as I present right now, the last grade 3, 4 Jelly Beans. That means we have 12 grade 3. With so many grade 3s, his effect is very live. I would say 60% of the time his drive checks reveal grade 3s if you're playing the deck right. And because of his +3 effect, even teamed up with Dudley Dan, he still swings 17. Probably the biggest card in this deck though, I would say, is Jelly Bean. Jelly Bean is a grade 3. But you can return it to the deck to add a grade 1 or 2 who has Dudley in its name, which is why this deck, even though it is so grade 3 heavy, is still consistent, because this card is a grade 3 that plays the role of a grade 2 and a grade 1 at the same time. You have this card, you have your grade 2 or you have your grade 1. However, obviously the turn you need to ride, he's not going to be that card until your main phase, so you can misride. But as long as you get like your grade 1 off and you have this, you can search out your grade 2. As well as the fact that because his cost is returning himself to the deck to get that card, he's reloading grade 3s from your hand back into your deck to make Siegfried more live. This deck is like any other Spike deck, very aggressive. It has a little bit different play style that you'll have to get used to when you go to use it. But it's very fun. Your opponent is usually confused at first. They often don't even realize you're running as many grade 3s as you are at first, but very cool deck, very fun, aggressive, like any Spike Brother deck. I would suggest giving it a try. I really wouldn't, don't write it off just because of its grade 3 lineup. The grade 3 lineup looks unbalanced, but trust me, this card right here, Jelly Beans, does a lot to make the deck consistent. So give it a try. It's actually really cool. Thank you.